Hi, I'm David, and today I'm just going to show you a quick way to make your Blender work like ZBrush. Yeah, like ZBrush. Now, Blender is primarily a modeling and animation package, but it actually includes a sculpting feature that works pretty much as well as any other application. Of course, there are a few that can actually rival ZBrush, but Blender does a good job at it. So much so that it's worth mentioning when you're mentioning top sculpting software, and that is not free sculpting software, but just top sculpting software overall. Now let's go ahead and set up Blender to work like ZBrush. So the first thing we're going to do here is just get rid of that and this as well. The other thing actually, let me pull that window back up, splash screen, right? You'll notice it selects Blender here. Now I'm not a Blender fan as far as the keyboard shortcuts are concerned. I am familiar with Cinema 4D, which is similar to Maya as far as the keyboard setup is concerned. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that option. And now if I alt click and if I hold alt and left click, I can rotate. In Blender, I think it would have just been your middle mouse button to get that done. Middle mouse button selects when you hold it down for this one. And of course, if you click away, it deselects the object, just as you would expect. Now, I'm going to select it and actually delete it here because I'm actually going to be using a different object. Now, how you create objects is by going to that Create Object section. That's the default objects, of course. Just going to use the UV sphere. There you go. So I now have a UV sphere. Now, in order to view this from the front view, this green line is actually front to back, right? So I'm just going to rotate my view here to get in line with that, and then I'm going to zoom in. Now I can actually do this two different ways. The default Maya or Cinema 4D way is to Alt and use your right mouse button, and you'll zoom in. Or of course you can just use your scroll wheel. There you go, scrolled in. Now I have that all set up and I am viewing this head on, right? I'm just adjusting this so that that is as straight as possible that we can get it, right? Now once you've done that, the next thing here to do is to go ahead and actually go into change your object mode to sculpt mode. Once you've done that, you'll notice that your tool options change and you get these sculpting brushes. Now, that's not all there is to it. Now, again, it's like ZBrush that you're trying to emulate here. So another thing that you'll need to do, I'm just resizing this here so that I can actually see all the options properly. Now, this is your modifier tool set right here. Click on that and add a modifier. Now, to make it work like ZBrush, you have two different options where you can choose the multi-resolution mesh or the subdivision surface. Now, the subdivision surface is more of a thing where it's for modeling, not for sculpting. So that's why you'll go ahead and choose multi-resolution so that you can keep your settings the way that ZBrush does, the way that Sculptress does, the way that other software packages like even 3D Code I think has that as well. But anyway, go ahead and select that. Now we can go ahead and work through this. Now what I'm going to do here, and this is the most important part of all that, I'm not going to do this twice. Firstly, I'm going to go ahead and choose File and choose Save Startup File. This is the most important part of all this. Once you do this, this causes Blender to automatically open the file as is, like this, with your windows and everything set up as they are, such that you automatically have a subdivision surface model or modifier added to your little UV sphere here. Now, this is actually not subdivided as yet. As you can see, preview, sculpt, and render all say 0. So we'd hit subdivide. Now, before I actually do that, again, we're getting this to look somewhat and feel like ZBrush. ZBrush does have animation, but it's not focused on animation. We don't need these this section right here. So I'm just going to get rid of it by you'll notice that when I get my mouse here, it turns into this little like a T or a crosshair. That is right on that little section right there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click and hold and then drag it down. You'll notice there that there's an arrow in the center of that lower part of your screen that shows you that you are going to basically overlap this with the other segment of ZBrush. I'm not sure, or panel, or whatever it's called, right? So once you do that, there you go, it disappears. Now let's go ahead and subdivide this. Now what I'd recommend is to subdivide it twice so that you have a level up to here, and just go ahead and choose save startup file again, right? Then there you go. Now you'll have this model automatically loaded with 2 subdivision surfaces always. Not subdivision surfaces, but multi-resolution surfaces. Now I can simply click that to go back to my lowest subdivision surface, and of course you can delete higher to remove the subdivision surfaces that are above whichever level you are at on this sculpt. So if you are at 0, it deletes everything. If you are at 1, it just deletes whatever is above 1. But as you can see, I can just go ahead and get to the business of sculpting. Let's choose our clay stripes here. I think that's the best one to go with. Yeah, that's the best one to go with. I'm going to go back up to my highest subdivision surface, and I'm just going to use my tablet here. So if you notice that it's moving a little freely because I'm using a tablet, and I just use the bracket keys to get my my cursor to my brush to be a little bit bigger. And there you go, sculpting like a genius.